hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello. So today, first of all, candle of the day, champagne toast, a classic. Literally the best candle on the planet. It's amazing. Second of all, Nisa did a video where she asked if you guys needed any advice on anything, and then she did a video giving advice. And I thought that was a really fun idea, so I promptly stole it. Nisipia, I am so sorry. Come again. Thank you. I'll link her channel down below. You guys can go watch it. Nisa's literally the funniest person on YouTube, in my humble opinion. I saw her do that video and I thought it was really fun, so I asked you guys on Instagram if you guys had anything you needed advice on. I'm really in no way qualified to be giving you guys like advice on things. This is not coming from, I know I professionally am about to get my social work license, but this is not coming from like professional me, Hannah. Just so you know, this is just like chill, fun advice. We're not getting too serious. I've fallen into a little bit of a like, I guess you could say depression since this whole thing has started, and I really have been neglecting my skincare routine. My skin has gotten absolutely horrible. So I just showered. I'm feeling really good. I smell good. I'm happy. Put on my new shirt. Like, I'm excited. And I decided that I'm gonna do a mask from Lush. This is the Mask of Magnanimity. I know I said that wrong. Sorry. I'm gonna be using this today. I haven't used this yet, so I'm excited. I've had it for a little while, and I'm excited to give it a try. We'll just see. Did I use this once? It looks like I've used it. We'll see. So I'm gonna be giving you guys advice and mostly just chatting. I feel like this will be a fun way to like just talk, and I'll do a mask while I do it. So let's get going. So this first question is, how do you put out as many videos as you do? I have my channel and struggle with ideas. That's a really good question. I feel like a lot of people ask about how to come up with ideas for YouTube. I'm gonna use the viewfinder to apply this. That nothing can go wrong with that, right? Oh, this mask is fun. How do I come up with ideas? So a big thing I like to do is at the beginning of every month, come up with an outline. Like, I don't want it to be a super intense schedule, but basically every day that I would want to upload a video, I aim for 3 to 5 times a week. I aim for 5 and then just hope for 3, basically. Every month I go through and plan out about 4 weeks of video ideas. Some of them are bad. Some of them never see the light of day. Some of them are just like literally not good. And then also sometimes with how I do kind of commentary videos, those will take the place of a video idea I wasn't crazy about. Or I'll kind of have another idea. Like, this video wasn't really on the list, this like video I'm currently filming, because I didn't know it was an idea, but then Nisa gave me the idea and I stole it. That's the other thing. You can steal ideas. You have to give credit. Don't just like take somebody's idea. But if you have if you see someone do a video that you really like and you think you could do it too, I mean, go for it. As long as you give credit and link their videos, there's really nothing wrong with that. Also, I sometimes find inspiration from other creators, not necessarily like doing the video idea they had, but they'll put out a video and I'll be like, oh, I could do something like based off of that. So even just like watching YouTube videos sometimes gets me inspired. But I think planning is really, really helpful. I think having a list of ideas, like sit down and really, really brainstorm, and do it not when you're about to film, because the worst feeling when it comes to YouTube is like you finally have time to film a video, you're finally free to film, and you can't think of what to film. Like, that's the worst, at least for me, I guess. That's the worst thing, is having the time, finding the time, carving out the time to film a video and then not knowing what to film. That kind of sucks for me. I would say before you even have to film it, just get your ideas going, you know? Wow, do I look like Shrek? Or I guess Fiona, but you know. Don't try to like come up with an idea while you're sitting down to film. Come up with it ahead of time, because I think that's gonna help. What do you do to calm yourself down during a panic attack? This is a great question. I suffer from generalized anxiety disorder. I also have PTSD and clinical depression. All the fun stuff. So I get my fair share of panic attacks. I would say because I have generalized anxiety, my kind of base emotion is anxiety. Like right now, my baseline is anxious. I don't really know what calm is, and it gives me anxiety when I'm too calm, because that means something's about to go wrong. However, I will say, I think when I am having like really severe panic attacks, and I think they show themselves in different ways, because I think a lot of people think a panic attack is like, oh my God, I can't breathe, and I'm sobbing hysterically. And some of the worst panic attacks I've ever had are ones where I have to pretend like I am completely fine. That honestly makes it worse sometimes if you're in a place where you can't comfortably do things that help you calm down, like deep breathing or things like that. Ways that I try to help myself is distractions. I think distractions are so helpful. I have a game on my phone called Snood. It's the stupidest game. I've been playing it since I was a little kid. It used to be like a computer game in the 90s, and my dad was always really good at it, and they have an app for it. So I downloaded it, and I'll play Snood a lot when I get anxious, especially in public. It really helps. If I am in a place where I can just like be anxious, I watch YouTube videos that I know are gonna make me laugh. Jenna Marbles is a great one for this for me personally. You have to kind of find your people. The Try Guys as of late have been really good for me because their content is so funny. I try to watch like funny things to distract myself. I also try really hard, if those don't work, I try to use, and I know this is hard, and this is something that I've had to practice doing as I've been dealing with my anxiety for 5 years now. So something I really tried to do is use logic to get myself out of situations. And again, this is not something that's going to come easily, but if I can, because a lot of my anxiety is health anxiety or kind of worst case scenario thinking. So for example, the other night at 3 a.m., I suddenly remembered that serial killers exist. And I really couldn't fall asleep because I, honest to God, thought that I was going to be murdered that night by a serial killer because my brain was just going crazy. I hadn't slept. So I tried to use logic. Like I just tried to logic myself out of that panic, and it did really help me. And distractions, those are kind of ways that help me, but everyone's anxiety is different, and what's going to help you, really just what I've learned over having to deal with this for so long, is it's just a lot of trial and error trying to figure those out. Advice on becoming more independent as you go into adulthood. I'll be 21 soon. She said XO, that was cute. Advice on becoming more independent. Okay, the thing that I learned, because I just turned 25, the thing that I learned as I've been growing up and been living on my own and slowly becoming more independent, has just been that like nobody knows what they're doing. I feel like it's really easy, especially in your early 20s. I guess I haven't experienced any other age, so I don't know what it's like there. But as far as me, my early 20s were a lot about comparing myself. I compared myself to my friends who were still committing to colleges when I wasn't. I compared myself to my friends who were getting jobs and working when I wasn't working. I compared myself to my friends who were like doing these crazy things and I wasn't doing them. And I think I tried to almost imitate a little too much. Like I tried to imitate what other people were doing to try and feel like I was catching up and, you know, staying on task with what they were doing. But I would talk to my friends. I have a friend who, she kept going straight through all 4 years of school. She like took a little bit of time off and then went for her master's degree. And when she finished her bachelor's, I was like, oh my God, what are you gonna do now? And she was like, I literally don't know. And I had just started back at college and I had about 3 years ahead of me. And, you know, she was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And this whole time I'd been looking at her like, wow, I wish I was her. I wish, you know, that I had my life together like her. And she later told me, she was like, wow, I wish I had been you. And I wish I had taken the time to, you know, take time off and figure out what I really wanted to do, because I have this degree and I don't know what I want to do with it. And I think that's just a really good lesson of like, everybody doesn't know what they're doing. Not everybody is like completely set. The other thing I will say, and I don't know if this is just a me problem, but like, I feel like it's portrayed a little bit on social media that it's like fun and quirky to spend all of the money you don't have on things you don't need. And I can tell you from personal experience that that's not fun nor quirky. It's not fun to be like, oh my God, I can't pay my rent, but at least I have my Lululemon leggings. Like, that's not quirky. It's not cute. Try to work on being financially responsible at a young age, because the older you get, the harder it is to be more financially smart. Like, it gets so much harder the older you get because you get into these horrible habits. I just started last year, like, really getting smart with my money and doing things that were smart and not just blowing it all on crap. So just make sure you're doing that. I think sometimes it can be hard because you don't want to necessarily necessarily put $1,000 aside a month to put into a retirement fund or to do whatever, but just do it because it's gonna be better for you in the long run. Kind of practice being financially responsible at a young age if you can. I think there's a lot of really good resources on YouTube. Graham Stephan, he can sometimes be a little bit annoying, like an extreme end of the spectrum when it comes to saving, but he gives really solid financial advice. I think he's really, really great for that. And also there's apps that you can download that really, really help. Moral of the story, nobody really knows what they're doing, and please save your money while you can, because I promise you, you'll be happier if you do that. Should I start a YouTube? I'm scared of people knowing and getting embarrassed. Yeah, I was really scared of that. I still low-key get scared about that because I know that there are people from my hometown that like know that I do this, and know that they watch my stuff, and that is a little weird. It also was a little embarrassing to like get started. I didn't tell anyone when I first started. I only told Charles and my mom that when I first started Smokey Glow, and it was only when I had my first video start doing really well that I told other people, and even then I only told like my very close friends, and then slowly like more and more people found out just because they did. And I have to say, it's really just, you just gotta kind of own it. The benefits of having a channel, even if some people think what I do is cringy, which they probably do, a lot of fun. And you know what, like just don't tell people you're doing it at first if you don't want to be embarrassed. The chances of you having like 1,000 subscribers and somebody finding your channel, you know, and mocking you is pretty small. So just, you know, do it and screw them. You don't want to look back on your life and be like, oh man, I wish I had done this thing that could have been really cool, because you never know how it's gonna go until you start it. So if a friend group drifts despite me reaching out, do I just let it go? I'm kind of sad mad. So I had a friend who she was my absolute best friend for like a really long time, and I don't even really remember a real huge like falling out between the two of us. We just kind of drifted, and I think we both just kind of made the conscious decision of like, okay, we're just not really going to be friends anymore. And I was the one who held on to it, because that's how I always am. I hold on to people and things, and I never want to let people go. Especially when I was younger, I never wanted to let people out of my life. I would reach out and she wouldn't respond, and it would hurt my feelings, but I'm about 2.5 years removed from seeing her or speaking to her, and I can honestly look back on that friendship and appreciate, you know, the happy times and the fun times that happened with us, but I can also know that the way that she treated me wasn't necessarily great. And I think if friends are distancing and not reaching out, or at least like just ghosting, that's kind of rude. Ghosting somebody is pretty rude. I think if they were a true friend, they wouldn't be doing that in the first place. So you're probably going to look back in a couple years and say, I'm better off without them. So I would let it go. One thing I've learned in my life is not to waste time on people that don't care about you. Because I know that's a very cliche thing to say, and I know it's very oversaid, but it's something I really had to learn through multiple relationships falling through, in order for me to like get that through my head, that like if somebody doesn't care to reach out or try to be friends with you, then they're not worth having as a friend. Advice for somebody interested in an MSW degree, also from New York, but currently live out of state. An MSW is a master's. I think this is really good advice for anyone who, that's a master's of social work, but I think this is good advice for anybody who wants to go to college. Before you go and pursue any degree in college, whether it be associates, bachelor, master's, I would recommend at least having somewhat of an idea of what you want to do, because you might not need as high of an education as you think to do what you want to do. So for a lot of social work jobs, a bachelor's is like fine. You're good to go with a bachelor's. You don't need to go on to get the master's. The only reason I want to go on to get my master's is because I want to work in a school setting, I think. So I'm pretty sure that's like 50-50. So it's worth it for me to go get the master's, so I have that option, because that's something I would like to do. Whereas I think if you want to just work at an agency, or you want to do CPS, or you want to work with different populations, you can do that with a bachelor's. You can do that with an associate's in some cases. So I think no matter what job you're looking at, just really consider how that education would potentially benefit you, and don't feel like you have to go through with a bachelor's or a master's just because that's what all your friends are doing. Like sometimes an associate's is plenty for jobs that you might want in that field. That's kind of what you have to weigh, is if it's worth it for you and if it's worth the cost. because it is expensive. How to deal with your boyfriend lying to you? That one's kind of hard. Charles, for the most part, I'm sure he's lied to me about little things. I think all couples do white lies, but we've never had a situation where either of us like just lied to the other person and that was like a huge problem. I'm trying to think. I don't think we've ever had a situation like that. But I will say I had a person who I was talking to. We never officially dated, but it went on for freaking years. And he majorly lied to me and about something really serious. And I don't think I've ever fully forgiven him for that. And we never officially dated, so this is a little bit different, but like I've really never fully forgiven him for that lie. And I think that's the thing about lying, is it's like you don't always fully forgive people when they do stuff like that, especially if it's something huge. I feel like there's a difference. I guess it depends on what the lie was, because if it had just been a white lie, probably wouldn't have been a big deal. If it had been just like something stupid, probably wouldn't have been a big deal. And I think you can forgive, but I think you can also, you know, still hold that grudge, because I've forgiven him. Like, we're still friends, but I hold that grudge against him because it was such a shitty thing to do. You know what I mean? So I think you're allowed to still be like a little sus of that person, even if you do forgive them. However, I don't think you can continually bring it up over and over again and then just like keep crapping on them for it. Like, you either have to forgive and just know in the back of your head that that's how you feel, or you have to let them go, because it's not fair to anyone to keep a person around or to keep dating somebody just to constantly remind them of the way that they fucked up. Like, at a certain point, it's either like end it or you're gonna move on. It's kind of my advice. I don't know if that's good advice, but that's what I do in my life. So, confidence in front of a camera as a bigger girl. I've always been so self-conscious about selfies, so I have an angle I take them to hide the double chin, but it's harder in a video. I used to put my video camera at like a really, really high angle because I was self-conscious about that. And it was honestly, a lot of people would like comment about it and I just ignored it because I was like, shut up. But I did it because I didn't like how my chin looked when I was editing. And I actually found it really difficult to edit my own videos when I had to see what I looked like. Like, it really bothered me. And I think the more I've been on the internet and the more I've kind of like just gotten into this, I just like, this sounds fake, but it's like, I just don't care. Like, of course there are days where I'm feeling not the best and comments hurt me. Like, of course I have days like that. Of course I do. I think if I'm already like dealing with depression outside of YouTube, those comments definitely sting more than they normally would. But I also think like, I look how I look. I'm like, I can be working on changing it. I can be not working on changing it. It doesn't really matter. This is how I look. At the end of the day, I think for me, and this is a comment I've gotten a lot, and I actually really appreciate these comments, as people say, I'm happy to see somebody who looks like me on YouTube being successful, because I think a lot of people are not double zeros. I think a lot of people, you know, are curvy and have curves and aren't, you know, perfect stick thin people. I think there are a lot of people that probably look like me that watch my videos that also would like to feel pretty and do makeup. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I think you just have to know that like, you're probably gonna get shitty comments and that might sting a little bit, but also at the end of the day, and this is definitely hard. I get why this is hard, but at the end of the day, you have to just try and focus on the positivity that you get, even when it doesn't feel like you're getting any. You are, I promise. There's people that appreciate you for being on camera and appreciate you for being unapologetically yourself, even on days when you don't feel like you like yourself. Does that make sense? How do you keep your own time and space being in such a close relationship? I feel like this is especially pertinent with the coronavirus happening. Charles and I, he normally goes to work, so he works. Normally I would go to my internship, but I would get home like 4 hours before him. So that was kind of like my me time. And then when he got home, I either had to go to class or normally I would have to do something for the channel. How we're doing it now that we're home together all the time is I think we just both respect each other's space, but I also think we just have our own hobbies. Like, for a few hours every day, I have to come up here and do this. For a few hours every day, he has to do work for his students. For a few hours every day, he wants to play Animal Crossing and watch Twitch. And I like watching TikToks. Headphones are really great for shared spaces. Highly would recommend noise canceling headphones. They are a lifesaver because we can both watch separate things while still being next to each other. I also think Charles and I don't get particularly annoyed with each other in like spaces when we have to stay inside together. When he was getting his master's and I wasn't doing my internship, so I was just going to classes, we were home together so much. Like, we were always home alone together because he was writing his thesis and I was like just going to class and coming back. I'd only be gone for like 3 hours a day. So him and I are actually pretty used to sharing orders and just like not getting annoyed with each other. But I think having hobbies helps. I think like me having YouTube and him having video games is really helpful. I would encourage each other to like pursue your hobbies and maybe even pursue them at the same time. Like, he does video game time while I'm filming, so that way tonight we can like watch a movie together, or sometimes we just don't watch a movie together and we just don't really hang out that day. So even though we're next to each other all day, we're like not hanging out, we're just doing our own thing. I think that's great. It's really healthy. How to adjust when going from community college to a university? That's a great question. So I did community college for 1.5 years and then I transferred to a 4-year university. The first semester I wasn't in a program, and that semester was harder because I find that once you're in a set program, if you are doing a major that requires a program, you can kind of make friends within your program, and that is what really, really helped me. I found like my core group of gals, and we just like we ended up taking every class together because we were night class kids, so we took every single night class together and just got really, really close. And they were like they still are, like, they're like my ride or dies. Love them so much. They helped me through it. A couple of us I know are going into the master's program together, so I'm really excited about that because we'll be able to like stay in touch and everything. But yeah, I think finding friends is really helpful once you get into your major. Just like having people, even if they're not like your best friends, having people you can talk about assignments with, having people to text if you need help with something, having a go-to person for like group work is really, really helpful. And I think that was the big difference between that and community college, because in community college I didn't really have a lot of like, I didn't make a lot of connections at community college because I wasn't really in a set major. I was just like taking random classes. So all of my classes were with different people. Yeah, I think like making friends is really helpful. I think not being afraid to ask teachers for help, because at the end of the day, especially when you're kind of transferring, if you just say like, hey, I'm a transfer and I don't understand this, nobody is going to be like, hey, fuck you. Like, no teacher is gonna tell you that. Teachers and college professors are not as intimidating as they seem. Most of them are 10 times more laid back than your high school teachers. Most, not all. Some of them are a little like, you know, but most of them are like 10 times more laid back. They'll gladly help you with things. And if you just reach out and let them know that you have a question, they'll gladly answer it. How to treat yourself without feeling guilty later on? This is a great question. I struggled with this when I was younger, especially. I would buy things and then like really regret them. One thing I've stopped doing is I do not make purchases after 7 p.m. I know this sounds weird, and maybe this is just a me problem, but when I'm bored in bed, I will literally just start online shopping. Like, I will just start scrolling, and I'm way less likely to buy something at 1 a.m. than I would be at 1 p.m. So I don't allow myself to shop late at night because that is when I made the stupidest decisions. So maybe find the time when you shop online or even shop in stores that you would be the most likely to like do something stupid, and really like cut back on those times of shopping. Because I think a lot of times I'll still shop online, but I won't purchase anything. And then I'll look at my cart the next morning, and 9 times out of 10, I'm like, yeah, I didn't really want this. I was just bored. I think a lot of shopping, especially online, comes from boredom. So do that. I also think having a set sort of budget, like a fun budget for yourself, is really nice. I've started to implement that, and I think it's been really helpful. And that budget can be, it doesn't have to be like $10. Like, give yourself the budget that you can to have something fun while also still paying for all the things you need to and, you know, saving. Like, give yourself a budget for fun things that fits your budget. I think a lot of times people try to be hyper restrictive, and that's fine. You can do that, but also for me personally, I find when I try to be hyper restrictive on the budget, it just doesn't end up working because I know that I can spend more. So just be realistic with your budget. Like, be honest with yourself and spend what you know you can without, you know, screwing yourself over. What is the superior shape of pasta? Shells. 100%. Nisa said, how do I cope with being so talented and hot? Sweetie, you don't need any advice. You're doing so well with that. All right, well, I'm gonna go take this mask off. My face is burning. I love you guys so much. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I'm wearing on my face will be linked down below, along with a link to register to vote. That's right, you can click on that link. You can register to vote, and you can be part of your demise. democracy. And if you're not from the United States, that link does not apply to you. Please make sure you're staying informed on what's going on. Use your voice in a positive way, because we all know the world needs more of that. And stay 6 feet apart. Wash your hands. Social distance if you can. It's imperative right now. We're getting to a real turning point. So please, if you can, take this seriously. Please stay inside. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!